Hello, everyone. Today, first of all, my name is Almog, and I really like to think about thinking. So today we will think about thinking. And actually, we will think together collectively with those that are not here and those that are here, because that presentation is a compilation of discussions that I had during the hackathon with different folks. And I've heard some question that was about your project, right? What's the goal of having some more explicit language, right? So I made an executive decision to change and remove one of the last slides of my presentation because what you have made is directly connected to what I will talk about today. Okay, so stay tuned. So first of all, if you want to build bridge between minds, we need to remember that we are similar but also different. So it's not obvious that we can understand what the other means. And from the conversations I had with Joshua Bach, and so he mentioned the different way he had to parse the world in order to navigate that, and others that having different challenges along these lines. So let's talk about the obvious. We can share meaning by communicating with words, or other stuff, or let's say words, and we can receive words and interpret meaning. So far so good. So we have meaning, some wishy stuff, we compress it to something that we can deliver, and then the person unpacks that, and then ta-da, we kind of have shared understanding. That's so fun, that's so easy, right? And now it becomes more complex, right? Because we can compose multiple meanings in one message, right? For example, the sesame plate is burned may imply every single sesame particle is burned, right? So you need to kind of unpack a lot of stuff. You need to do a lot of steps, a lot of parsing, a lot of and we call that compositionality. This is a property of natural language. Now, some messages may have multiple possible interpretations. For instance, you don't want that no. When the friend says no, what do they mean? It can mean different stuff. So you may say, oh, I think it's more likely that that's the case. Oh, I think it's more likely that that's the case. We may have different priors, let's say, that are sitting in ourselves, and we may make decisions according to them. So let's acknowledge that we have different priors. And let's talk about more obvious stuff. One, our mind interprets words into meaning in different ways that others are doing so. Just to make sure, is that clear so far? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Great. So the non-obvious. It's non-trivial task. Why? We are different, and some people may have different assigned meaning to what we talk about. For instance, do you have a bottle? Is that full? Can I have the blue one? Just try to.
Live demonstration.
No, really,
He's
because
about to do a magic trick.
no, think about that, right? Because I mean, when we see this photo and we have the thanks for the blue one. So can you bring me the blue one? I just asked for the blue one, and you gave me the bottle. And actually, we have. I didn't expect it was. Like, just
Sorry.
Anyways, to the point, we can choose different wording, so it will be more explicit, so someone will be able to parse what we want to say more easily, right? Great. Now, when people try to think about how they can build computational models that will help to choose the right wording, one of the suggestions of the RSA, the Rational Speech Act model, basically you could say the following scenario, okay? You have a speaker and you have the listener. Let's denote speaker and listener as L, okay? Now, they look at this thing, and the person saying, my friend has glasses. Do you have an idea which one of them? Not so far, but then the listener thinks, okay, she says glasses. But if she says glasses, it would mean these two. But if she would say a hat, it would mean that one. So why didn't she say a hat, the friend with a hat? So if she chose to say with the glasses, probably, maybe it's that one. Okay, so there's some process there of trying to infer what the other person is trying to convey by simulating in our mind what they are thinking, if it makes sense. So it's thinking about the thinking of the other person. And that's one model that tries to explain that. Now, the really non-obvious is that people see the world differently. And let's say, imagine a scenario where you have a kid and a mom, okay? And the mom is looking at the bottle of the kid coming back from school, and she says, "You didn't drink anything. You didn't drink. You didn't drink at all." That, "No, I drank water." "What do you mean? You didn't drink at all? But look, it's like almost empty." "No, but you didn't drink at all." So what's going on? So basically, if the water level, let's say, is at half, the literal interpretation of "you didn't drink at all" would be, there will be cognitive dissonance. It would say, you know, right? I drank. So, but if you kind of understand your mom, right, as a kid, let's say 6 years old or so, kind of saying, okay, you know what, I think she means that she wants this to be empty, because only when it's empty, So it becomes, right, it's so complex to understand each other, but we're still doing so that's beautiful. So let's put some graphs, because why not? So the literal interpretation would be when it's full, when you hear "you didn't drink at all," it means that it's full. There. But if you are kind of taking into account the way mom is simulating the world and let's call it cognitive biases, then you may say, when you hear "didn't drink at all," you would consider all these possible heights as "you didn't drink at all." So we're kind of inferring the other subjective meaning. Now, the super non-obvious, connecting it to the conversation with Joshua Bach, is that just think about autism for a second, and where the implicit is unclear, and now you kind of get it why the explicit language can be useful. So when it's hard to understand the implicit, you may just look at this thing and hear "you didn't drink at all," and you're just like, "What? But I drank," and you just, there is cognitive dissonance, because there is one belief of what you see, and then you hear this sentence, and and it means something else, and you just, there is cognitive dissonance. So basically, I see what you have proposed as something that is inherently connected to here, because you're saying, hey, I would factorize implicit sentences into something super explicit, so it will be easier for us to have common language with machines. But what if we will have some translator that will take the implicit language of the everyday and will make it easier for those who are challenged with taking the implicit to be aware of the explicit that is behind the scenes. So I would give you claps, because like I think because I was thank you for that. So basically that's the kind of recap of the discussions I had around, and thank you so much for having this hackathon. Thank you for the discussions. Thank you for everything. So thank you so much.
All right, any questions? Guys, questions?
Guys.
Right, it's like, I can have an apple here, I can have an orange here, not much of a distance, right? In terms of identifying them, because of that shared invariance between them. Then, you have an apple, maybe you have, a golf ball, right? So there's a bit more of a distance between them. It gets more abstract. And then if you go from an apple to, a camera, what is still sort of, in terms of things like category theory, what's the actual connection? I'm just wondering if you've thought about that in terms of language and perception and how we reduce uncertainty. Because it's, I notice this even just in daily life, like we misunderstand things all the time.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, I do have an answer for that, or kind of answer for that, but it comes from the kind of the psychology literature, and specifically with Carl Rogers and so that talked about different stuff, including the concept of empathic accuracy. It makes sense.
Mhm.
It's a process where you have two images,
Mhm.
right? And you are one person, and then you have another person, and you're talking.
Yeah.
You're exchanging information. Now you may say, "Oh yeah, imagine a house." And then both of you have something. Then there is a entrance. I want the entrance to be from that area, and I want to have a garden. I don't know. Why do I make person? Anyways, and then you put your stuff here. So you talk, but you perceive.
Yeah.
You represent it differently. So the process of empathic accuracy is it's kind of having a shared page. In some ways, or like I'm literally simplifying, but having a shared page where is that what you're referring to? Is that what you mean? Is like,
Yeah.
you know, I imagine that you talk with a friend and then it tells you, oh, is that what you experienced? And then you tell
Yeah.
them, yeah, but not quite.
Yes.
That's the moment where you fine tune it. That's the moment where you iterate until you arrive to accuracy. So that's the semi-short answer.
Awesome. All right.